Hey guys, it's Barry, and it's been a while since I posted a video, like a week or 3, so I thought I'd just throw together a quick fish room tour for you guys. But before this video starts, what do you call the soft tissue between sharks' teeth? A slow swimmer. Well guys, before this video starts, I was just taking a look at some of my tanks and realized that some of them could use a little bit of maintenance, mainly just some water changes, and I might take out some of this vegetation in all of these tanks. Saltwater tank is feeling it too. You can see all the algae on the glass. You can hardly even see into the tank. But I'm gonna go ahead and start off with cleaning this saltwater tank, mainly because it takes the longest and because I still have to go to Walmart and pick up some distilled water for this tank. Alright guys, so now that the tanks are looking a little bit more presentable, we can actually start with the tour now. So in my room, I have a total of 5 fish tanks, 1 saltwater fish tank, and 4 freshwater fish tanks. So let's go ahead and start off with the saltwater one, which is right here. So if you've been watching my content for a while, you probably know all about this tank. But if you're new, this is just a simple 20-gallon long standard tank, super simple setup. Just have a current USA Orbit Marine LED up here, which is a cheaper end light for growing corals. Have a hang-on back filter. This is an AquaClear 30, a 100-watt Aquarium heater, and a Higer wave maker right there. This is a lot of your guys' favorite tank just because it's a super simple setup and it still looks good. And I end up getting a lot of questions in the comments about this tank, about like, what do I need to set it up? What do my water parameters need to be? And stuff like that. And to be completely honest, I'm still pretty new to the saltwater side of this hobby, and I honestly don't know the answers to your guys' questions, but I do know someone that probably does, Tom Reefer. He's got an amazing YouTube channel with a bunch of nano fish tanks. He does a video each week dedicated to answering your guys' questions. And I really enjoy watching his videos because they're both informational and entertaining at the same time. And unlike me, he actually posts videos 3 times a week, so you'll never run out of stuff to watch. So go check out Tom's channel if you have any questions or just like fish tanks in general. I'll leave a link in the description to his channel. And Tom, if you're watching this, great videos and keep up the good work. Now back to the saltwater tank. In here I have 2 clownfish, have a cleaner shrimp that always hides back there, a sea urchin that loves carrying shells around, and an orchid dottyback that is hiding right now. I'll throw over some B-roll so you can see what that guy looks like. I also have a handful of snails and hermit crabs in this tank as well. And for the corals, just have a variety of easy to keep corals. This is some green star polyps, toadstool leather, zoanthids, mushrooms. There's a candy cane coral kind of tucked back there. More mushrooms, Possilopora, some acants that don't look the best right now because they're pretty sensitive to light, and when I turned on the light they got all shrunk up. More zoanthids, some xenia, and some more leather corals. And you're probably wondering what the heck this thing right here is. Inside of it is actually just a feather duster worm, and the reason I put him in here was because he used to be over here and tucked in the rocks, and since they build their own kind of little shell to live in and he was tucked in the rocks, he didn't have a lot of stuff to build his shell out of. And now you can see his shell is growing quite well, unlike it was on the rock. So that pretty much sums up the whole saltwater tank. And if you want some more in-depth videos on this saltwater tank, I'll leave some links in the description below. But speaking of below this tank, I just thought I'd mention is just a little terrarium. I just have a fire belly toad that is somewhere in there hiding. So I know this isn't fish tank related, but I just thought I'd show you. So let's go move on to the freshwater tanks. So the first saltwater tank that we're gonna look at is the 5-gallon Marineland Portrait Aquarium. I set this up in I think September last year, and you can see there's a little Siamese algae eater in here. Probably the most you'll see of them right there. This tank is another super simple tank. As you can tell in here, there's quite a bit of algae just lining the plants, but that doesn't seem to affect their growth at all. It just makes the appearance of the tank look a little funky. Now in here are some white cloud minnows, one of my favorite fish, and they have been breeding in here quite a bit. I only started with 4 in here, but there's definitely more than 4 in here now. But I did have 2 Siamese algae eaters in here at one point because, you know, to get rid of the algae, but there was a little bit too much algae in here for them to consume, so I tried to catch them both, but I could only catch one, and I ended up moving them to a tank that I'll show you guys here in a second. So the one that I couldn't catch is just now living in here. For plants in this tank, the main plant you can see right here up at the front is Rotala. And then you got some Pogostemon right there. There's just a few stems of it in here. There's a couple pieces of Alodia and Ludwigia back there. And of course, there's some ram's horn snails and some bladder snails in here. Also for this tank, if you want a more in-depth video, I actually have a couple videos on this tank, setting it up, and some update videos. I'll leave those down in the description below of this video if you're interested in this tank. And now let's move on to the next tank. The next tank, this is the biggest tank I own right now. It is a 36-gallon Bowfront aquarium, and the Bowfront meaning it's just like bowed out right here, which makes a cool little unique view. I got this tank as a gift for Christmas, and I set it up around 3 years ago, and you can just see it is packed full of plants and fish, and I just love this look. It looks like a jungle. And something cool about this tank is there's actually no filter at all. I used to have a hang-on back filter, but it just made a lot of noise and was really annoying. So I just thought, might as well take it out. And the plants that I have in here are super fast growing. They absorb a lot of nutrients. The 2 fastest growing plants are hornwort, which is right there. It's kind of a thin, needly plant. And Alodia, which is this plant right here. Those are the 2 main plants in here, and I have to constantly trim them back. Other plants in this tank include some jungle val, a lot of this dwarf sage that's kind of carpeting down at the bottom, some more Pogostemon, some java fern there in the back, and then in the center there's an Amazon sword that's kind of getting crowded out by all the carpeting plants. So the livestock for this tank, I have a lot of fish packed in here, probably more than I should. The main dominating species of fish are danios. I have a couple varieties. This is a giant danio, have some zebra danios right there, and some long-finned leopard danios, that one right there. A total of 3 zebra danios and 2 long-finned leopard danios, and just the 1 giant danio. Also have some more white cloud minnows in this tank. I think I have 3 in here. Then have 2 turquoise rainbow fish, and these fish are really interesting. When they're showing breeding behavior, they actually change color. So the front right between their eyes actually turns a bright yellowish orange. Usually he's this nice kind of turquoise blue color. So these guys are a pretty cool species of fish. And then back there you can see him hiding back in the weeds is a black skirt Tetra. I just have 1 of those. And somewhere hiding in this tank I have 4 Syncless catfish and 3 coolie loaches. They love hiding in all the vegetation and rocks. I also have a bunch of varieties of snails in here. These are some Malaysian trumpet snails, and I have the typical ram's horn snail and bladder snail in here as well. But let's go ahead and feed these fish for you guys. Maybe this will lure out the Syncless catfish and coolie loaches. See them eating all the food. Oh wait, I almost forgot. Also got this gourami in here. And again, I forgot another fish. This is the tank that I put the other Siamese algae eater in from the 5-gallon Marineland Portrait Aquarium. He's just been chilling in here. And I was hoping the Syncless catfish and coolie loaches would show up, but I'm not seeing any of them. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next tank. Alright, this tank is also a jungle. I meant to take out some of this vegetation, but I was too lazy to. It's definitely really overgrown, and some of the plants aren't getting enough light, so they're turning a little yellow. But in this tank, just have some more white cloud minnows. Then I have 2 ember tetras that just like survived from another tank, and I just threw them in here, and a whole bunch of Neocaridina shrimp in here. Here's a nice red one. This tank is super simple. Again, it doesn't have a filter at all, just a heater back there. And sliding over to my most recent tank, you can hardly even tell what's going on in here because of all of this hornwort that I put in here. And the main reason I have the hornwort in this tank is to diffuse the light, because down here this carpeting plant is actually a Marimo moss ball, and Marimo moss balls don't like a lot of direct light. And currently there is nothing in this tank. I'm definitely probably going to put some shrimp in here. I'm not really sure what type yet, but if you haven't noticed, there's some cool little Easter Island head statues in here. This was a cool little project, and I have the setup video down in the description. Well guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like always, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more fish tank videos. Go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok if you want to see even more fish tank videos. And remember to go check out Tom's awesome channel. So I'll see you guys on the next video.